astronauts need to think clearly under pressure. Let's see if the cadets can remain calm among the treetops in their first forest challenge.
This is the pamper pole. It's a 16-meter high pole, and so the goal is to climb up, turn around, and jump off. It's probably one of our most nerve-wracking high elements because it is a little bit more exposed, and you do get a little bit of wobble up there at 16 meters. You excited for it?
Yeah.
Yeah? You done anything like this before?
No.
No, never?
How do I look?
Oh, damn, that's a thing.
Do I look good?
All right, this is a mock-up of the top of the pole up there. You just bring your foot up like so. The rope dangling in front of you. You're going to jump for it. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right.
I'd like y'all to line up from most excited to least excited. So my most excited people will be down here, and my people who want to wait a little bit more will be on this end.
I don't think the order changed at all except for Finton.
So she asked me who was most excited, and I put up my hand because I was. What's wrong with being excited? I mean, I was always enthusiastic just to try out everything, you know what I mean?
All right, you are anchor number 1. You are anchor number 2.
I want to be the first to try everything, you know? I want to be the first to do everything. First Irish astronaut as well, so, yeah.
Each cadet will go up on their own, but they'll be linked through a series of safety ropes held by the other cadets on the ground. Learning how to be safe is going to be a big part of the training here at Space Camp.
Check Lock 3!
They're shaking.
It moves! The top moves!
Oh, that's even tougher. The disc on top of the pole spins around. This really is a balancing act.
I can't do it. That's actually hard.
You got this, man! You can do it. You got this. You got it, man! Come on!
The top platform spins a little bit, so that is intentional. We're trying to see how you're going to adapt to change, because definitely at space camp or being an astronaut, you do have to be able to adapt on the fly.
I see it. It's menacing looking at me.
That looks so high. Can he jump?
Yeah, that's good deal.
Oh, I gotta go back.
No, you did not.
Welcome in slow. Keep the line tight.
It started shaking at the top, though, and I was like, nah.
Next up, it's Asia.
I'm a bit nervous after seeing Finton, if I'm being quite honest, but I don't know. I'm hoping for the best.
I jump off, I'm absolutely gonna scream.
Asia has been a space nut since she was a kid. And Tim Peake is her favorite astronaut. Remember him? He loved playing water bubble ping pong in space. Well, who wouldn't?
There we go.
Thank you for that. Oh, lads. What the? Ah, it moves. Why is it so wobbly?
Whenever you're ready, jump for the rope. You got this, Asia.
Oh yeah, did I mention that there's a bell at the end of the rope? You don't have to make it ring, but we know they all really want to.
Oh, lads. I have pins and needles in my entire body.
Jack is next, and he looks like he was ready for that spinning disc at the top. He flies up onto it.
Whoa! I'll go over this way. Yeah, I can see it.
Whenever you're ready, jump for it.
Whoa!
Nice. That was a good long jump.
That was grand. It was fun, like. Split second where I thought I'd die, but. That was good.
Oh, he made it look effortless.
Yeah, but the thing is, I am probably the best. Now, listen, let me explain.
I'm not mad, so I am feeling nervous.
I was the first person to try. I'm enthusiastic. It's the mental thing.
Next to go is Connor. Can he get a ring out of that bell? Oh, so close.
Oh, God. Oh, that hurt. As long as I touched the rope, we're happy. No one has yet, like. Don't look down.
The rest of the space cadets don't hang around and are speeding up the pole. They've been watching each other and coming up with a strategy. They all want to be first to ring that bell.
what I realized is like the faster you go, like the less it has time to wobble, if that makes sense.
We're about to touch the top.
It really does change your perspective when you're actually up there because you see the disc on there, and apparently it was spinning as well. Didn't know this.
Yep. Yeah!
But like once you're at the top, there's like nowhere else you can go except down. So you just have to jump.
Since we're heading back up into the air, push your nose back down, find your artificial horizon, and you'll have to hold it steady like that, otherwise it'll just kind of like coast on up into the sky.
Yep, nice and easy. Yep, nice and easy. And then, yep, and then you can go ahead and drop back off the throttle just a bit if you want.
At the start, we were learning how to take off, you know, gain speed and take off your landing gear and flaps and stuff like that, and then just fly around the place and then try land again.
Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Watch your nose, put your speed all the way down. You're probably going too high.
Yeah, I'm done.
You're gonna crash. Oh!
I couldn't hack it, I couldn't get the hang of it, you know what I mean? So I need to reduce my speed a lot more because I went in way too fast.
I tried to land, it did not work.
I crashed once or twice. No, not on the landing. I just did a load of touch and go. What I could do, I did it like 3 times before I could actually land, so I was just hitting off the runway. It was monotonous.
I'm just like hovering over the airport right now because I don't really know how to land.
Crashed straight into the floor. I didn't really know how to land it, to be honest. I was confused by it.
We spent the first hour learning to do the basic stuff, like taking off and landing and shooting. But like, the taking off is easy, but the landing is difficult. Like, everyone around me was struggling with the landing.
How do I stop?
That's water. That is water.
I crashed. It was actually really fun. Like, at the start, I actually had no idea what I was doing, but eventually I kind of got the hang of it.
I don't know, I was close enough to that one, to be fair.
I'm definitely missing something. I'm missing something. I don't know what it is.
Do the black button at the top, underneath where the red button is.
All right, come back to your right.
I don't know what he's on about.
I don't know what I just did. I think the landing, there was a lot of things you had to do at the same time, and you had to kind of judge the altitude and that kind of stuff, like just with your eyes, and I didn't really know what exactly that was.
That's all right, we were super close.
Depending on how fast or slow you're going, the movements, you have to be delicate with it because it could just shift to the left or the right and you can just end up crash on the ground.
Oh, come on, go away. Oh, go away.
They call me Tom Cruise, but this isn't a cruise, this is a war, you know what I mean?
Bit off the runway, but still landing.
So I figured out why I wasn't landing properly, why I kept crashing. I did not have my wheels down. So I have learned something very important. You do need to put down your wheels when you're landing. That is generally quite a vital thing. There we go.
Now they all know how to take off and fly an F-15. They've even successfully landed after a lot of crashing. What's next, you ask? Well, how about a fully loaded combat mission where everyone is the enemy and the last jet fighter in the air is basically Top Gun?
There was tension in the room, to say the least.
I'm gunning for AJ. He's also gunning for me, though, so I'm not quite sure how else it's going to work out for both of us.
Missiles locked and loaded. Let battle commence.
Oh! Those are close shots. Benton, where are you?
I'm locked onto you, that's where I am.
Many people. Was that my thing? Why is my thing beeping?
Oh, Sinead, some missiles after you.
After me.
You want to smoke?
Get smoked!
I killed like 2 so far. I think I shot them anyway. 1 went down.
Your guns are only accurate up to 0.5 nautical miles.
Whoever's shooting at me, I hope you know I'm literally like a sitting duck.
Oh my God. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yes!
Did you kill me?
Yes.
I didn't survive very long.
After Asia goes out early, a close maneuver from AJ has Sinead crashing to the ground.
Are you coming towards me? Oh. Okay, no, I'm not.
I just launched a missile at AJ.
So, when I fight people, I only fight them head on. Show honor. Someone's gonna pay. Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead.
Uh-oh. Houston, we have a problem.
Houston, we have a problem. APU speed.
Copy, we're just reaching that there.
Mission Control has to be ready to help solve problems, so Sinead springs into action.
All right, 3 is affected. You're going to go R2.
All right, that's Daniela's side.
I would have to tell them, like, flip this switch to this position, push this button here.
What should I do?
3 is your affected engine, so it should be off right now.
Oh, yes.
So it was a bit of a challenge trying to understand the information I had and then communicate it to them in a way they could understand, and then they'd be able to carry out the actions to stop the rocket exploding. You want to put the APU speed select to high. Yep, perfect. You solved that problem. All right, good job.
Well done, Sinead. She figured out that the problem was with the shuttle's third engine, and soon Daniela and Jack get their flight back on track. And while the shuttle heads towards the ISS, it's time for Asia and Finton's EVA.
Suiting up for the EVA was really exciting. These are the real spacesuits that astronauts wear in space. The only thing we don't wear are the face masks. Everything else is the real deal.
I feel like an astronaut.
There you go.
You look amazing.
You look so good.
EVAs or spacewalks are one of the most challenging tasks carried out by astronauts. They have to be really careful while they're outside the spacecraft. They're exposed to radiation, space debris can pierce their protective suits, and they have to make sure they stay tethered to the spacecraft at all times, so they don't float off into space. Time for Asia and Finton to suit up and head out for their EVA.
This is my dream. Living it.
Asia?
Hey, Finton.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi.
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 Hey.
Hey.
Is that supposed to be out?
Yeah, just off my experiment.
Yeah.
On the real ISS, they conduct a lot of experiments, so that's what we had to do.
Into the power support. So there's no switch or anything in here, right?
ISS, you have got a problem?
Roger, AJ.
There's an alarm on the ISS, and that means there's a problem. AJ and Mission Control have to help the astronauts on the space station figure out what the problem is so they can solve it together.
BATT-MNB to on.
I can't see that. Anyway, is it on a different panel?
L1, yes.
L1. Repeat it one more time.
BATT-MN. There's an A and a B switch. There are so many pieces of equipment. I was just looking at one page of the thick manual as well. I mean, it does make sense. It's a very complicated piece of equipment.
So when you said BATT, that meant battery. That's what it was.
And an ACK.
Right, up here. Roger. Right.
Perfect. No more warnings.
No, they're gone.
Gone.
Okay.
So you need to open the box.
Oh, yeah.
Pull it by the big loop. I did the other one.
Okay. Stealing my job now. Okay.
Space Camp instructor Brian is helping out in Mission Control. He's talking Asia and Finton through their EVA.
First, start off by removing VCP5 from slot E1.
VCP5 slot E1.
Yeah, just make sure you don't drop it or else it's like a couple $1 million mistake.
Should be. It's off.
They use the harnesses to create a sensation of zero gravity, so it's weird not to be able to stand on something.
All right, and you're gonna replace that with VCP9.
Okay, VCP9 it is. I think that if I was to do an actual EVA spacewalk mission on the side of the International Space Station with millions, if not billions, worth of dollars equipment, and Earth is right there and it feels like you're gonna fall down, that'd be really stressful. And when I was in the spacesuit, I was tense and I was stressed out the entire time, so I wouldn't be able to imagine what it's like being an actual astronaut doing that. Is that lined up?
I'll try hold it in place if you get the first screws.
Yeah. So they said this is the same kind of EVA that we actually doing on the space station.
Where components have to be replaced on the outside. Oh yeah, and the components are worth over $1 million.
Do you think you guys will be all right if I take my lunch break right now?
You're hilarious, Brian. We've all got on great with Brian. He has a great sense of humor, so that helped. Although I'm not sure if someone in the real Mission Control would be as funny as he is.
Ooh.
Ryan,
Yes?
am I your favorite now?
I'm sorry, your comms are cutting out. I didn't hear what you said.
Purple to red.
Connor and Aoife's experiments are back on track inside the station. But Aoife's experiment on the reaction of alien toothpaste in space seems to be overreacting.
I love sport and I'm big into training. If only I could do the chin-ups as easy on land as I could do them underwater, that'd be great.
We were all just messing around at the basketball, and then Jack started the construction task, and we all joined in.
The instructors have left a load of pipes and connectors on the bottom of the pool, and the cadets have to try and put them back together correctly while floating. Exactly the sort of work that astronauts do in space. Look at them move. They're flying around like real astronauts. Real astronauts have lightsaber fights, don't they?
We knew we only had 20 minutes of air in our tank, so even though we got up to a load of fun, by the end we realised that we'd have to get these tasks done, so there was some serious underwater teamwork going on.
And how will they know if they've completed the underwater construction correctly? They'll be able to launch the torpedoes, of course. Success!
They get 20 to 25 minutes, depending on their air, but just to make safe, we give them 25 minutes. And I'm about to bang on the ladder to signal everybody up.
They told us that not everyone likes gear or like being into underwater. They're not into the scuba diving, but like I think everyone loved it.
It's cool that something so fun is actually a real part of astronaut training. And you can see how it's useful. Being able to function and complete tasks while floating around surviving on a limited supply of air, that's life in space. If you pass this test, you're pretty much there.
Things are heating up here in Huntsville, Alabama. And once the cadets have dried off, it's back into teams for an engineering challenge that will really raise the temperature. This time, it's Aoife, Connor, Jack, and Sinead. Up against AJ, Asia, Daniela, and Finton. And both teams have to design something pretty essential to successful spaceflight. A heat shield.
Why we use a heat shield? So who can tell me? Why do we use heat shields? Yes?
As you come back into the atmosphere, it gets like really hot because of all the friction.
That's exactly right.
When a space capsule re-enters Earth's atmosphere, it's traveling at super high speeds. So the air molecules rub against the surface of the capsule so fast that the surface gets hotter than the surface of the sun. So it needs to be made of something that can take the heat.
So does anybody know what type of thermal protection was used on the Apollo capsule?
An ablative one?
Ablative, yes, very good.
The Apollo capsules used what's called an ablative shield. That means that it was made of a type of material that would burn and peel away in the intense heat. But there were enough layers to prevent it burning all the way through.
So when it is coming back down, it is taking on that heat, charring off in layers, and so that's why you see pieces of it missing. It's burned, it's charred. So that's the way that this works. And what's really impressive is that at its thickest point in the middle, it's only a couple of inches thick. So it's only maybe about that thick. Then it actually gets thinner as it comes out to the edges.
The Apollo capsule heat shields did a perfect job of protecting their astronauts. But how would our cadets get on? They're protecting eggs again, so hopefully they don't get cooked.
You have many materials to choose from. Now, I will tell you, none of this is a trick. This can all work. It's just in where you place it, okay?
What do you think? What seems like a good heat-resistant material? Cork? Steel wool? Paper? Pasta? From cotton to tinfoil, there's a lot to choose from, so there's plenty of discussion.
Aluminum would heat up, though. But it's fine if it's not touching the egg.
Aluminum foil mesh.
Foil.
I'm not sure about pasta. Like, I have no idea how.
It would
if you
just
put
burn.
a blowtorch to pasta, yeah, it would just burn.
Oh, if we put aluminium in front of foil.
pasta. I feel like pasta's like...
Pasta's 30.6. Pasta's the underdog.
Yeah.
Pasta got everyone really thinking hard. I mean, like, was it a trick? You never really hear of a spaceship going up covered in lasagna, so we really weren't sure, but in the end we decided just to stay away from it.